We are rolling.
Let's
Luke.
go. How's it going?
Good, man. How you doing?
Doing all right. Hanging in there.
So, it's my buddy Luke here. We met at the gym. Luke is your runner.
Yes.
And how long you been running?
Well, 2-3 years. I wouldn't say I wouldn't consider myself like a runner. I right now I'm doing a lot of running, but I wouldn't say I'm a runner. I'm a guy who likes to train, and the current goal is a running goal. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the current goal specifically? You have like a time or a race?
Currently, I'm training for an ultramarathon.
Wow.
I'm doing 100 miles. Yeah.
Where? Where do you want to do it?
Massanutten in Virginia.
Okay.
It's Shenandoah Mountains. I don't know if you've heard about it.
Oh, yeah, I've been. They're awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's May 16th, so we got like 3 weeks.
Oh, you're close.
Yeah, really close. I'm on the taper right now.
So it's 100 miles.
Yeah.
Where's the finish point? Is it just through that range there in Appalachia?
Yeah, it's like
Shenandoah Park?
Yeah, Shenandoah Park. I
Yeah.
think there's I think the mountain range is really long.
Okay.
But you do like a figure eight through the whole mountain range, and then it's like a very long figure eight, and then you end up back in that same spot. I'm pretty sure, but I'm not 100% sure.
And this is your first one?
First 100 miler.
What kind of times do people go for on that? Like, what is even normal on 100 miles?
I would say
That's days, no?
Yeah.
Yeah, days.
It
So
would
what, you like sleep? You set up camp?
For 100 miles, you probably won't sleep. So it'll probably take like 30, for me, probably like 30 hours. I have a friend, he did it in 24. He's really fit. So if you get under a day, I feel like that's pretty good time, just based off the people that I've been around so far. But yeah, I'm going for, I don't have a time goal. I just want to finish now.
And you'll run for pretty much all that? Like, you'll take breaks here and there, but not extended?
There's aid stations like every 8-ish miles that you stop at. And you just break there, eat some food, hang out.
That's crazy.
And then you just rip it through the woods all night. Yeah.
That's crazy, man. That's really fun.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting.
So what do you do? What does your training look like? Obviously, a lot of running itself.
Yeah.
But what do you do in just training-wise, diet-wise?
So training-wise, I've learned a lot throughout this prep, since this is like my first big race. But what I did was I started it was too big of a prep. I did like 10 months leading into it. If I were to do it again, I'd probably do like 4 or 5 months. But I just started at like 30, 40 miles a week, worked my way up to like 73 miles a week was my peak week. And then now for the last, 5 total weeks of training, I'm going to drop by like 5 to 10 miles a week.
Kind of deload.
Yeah, deload the way
Good idea.
down. And then last week is like 30 miles, and then I do like 3 miles rest day, 2 mile day, and then the big race.
Yeah.
So for training, it was essentially just load mileage, load elevation, and just kind of fatigue my body as much as I can. Like I said, I'm not perfect with that training, but I've learned a lot through this prep. And diet, it's mostly been high calories.
Yeah, a lot of carbs to fuel that.
A lot of carbs.
Yeah.
I probably should be consuming more carbs, especially but what I was aiming for was like 550 grams a day to 600 grams.
Yeah.
And like 4,000 calories plus a day.
At least that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I take in about 3,000, probably about 400-ish grams of carbs, and I'm quite a bit older and don't do that volume of.
Do you run
training.
or no?
No, I mean, I'll do more. Anything I do conditioning, I haven't this winter, obviously, but when I do conditioning, I'll start again now that it's nice out. I'll do either like steady state, kind of like zone 2, like walking with a weighted vest, or I'll do sprints, like short duration, high intensity.
Cool.
My go-to for like conditioning fat loss is hill sprints.
Okay.
Just because when you're trying to preserve muscle and strength, the steady state is what actually is pretty catabolic.
Okay.
you want either like low intensity or high intensity for the most part.
Okay.
There's merit in training for like, like moderate intensity endurance, like especially more so if you have a certain physical endeavor like a sport. But when you're just going for like pure fat loss and a lot of what I do is strength oriented. So I just keep it to either my low intensity, which doesn't cut into my recovery at all and waste muscle mass, or high intensity like HIIT style stuff. Most people do way too much of it.
Okay.
You really only need like 10 to 15 minutes 2-3 times a week.
Okay.
Unless you're training for something specific.
You're saying to maintain a solid
for like
base.
fat loss and cardiovascular health and that stuff. Because like anybody that's done any kind of like, my training isn't primarily aesthetic geared. It's actually more function. It's more strength than function. Yeah. But aesthetics are nice, right? It's a nice byproduct. But most people think that when you're doing training to like lose fat and cut up, that you need like cardio is so important, but actually it's really mostly about diet and weights.
Okay.
Cardio more, I just tell my clients, cardio is for your heart.
Okay.
Like cardio is for your brain and your heart above all else.
Okay.
As far as the mirror goes, you can get that with, there are tons of bodybuilders that do no cardio.
Yeah.
They just eat and they just lift weights.
Yeah.
So for me, it's more so whatever conditioning I do is just like now that we're getting into nicer weather, I love throwing on my vest. I got a weighted vest and just walking these grounds and
awesome.
just going for a power walk for 60 minutes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Feel great afterwards. Also doesn't beat my joints up.
Okay.
As you get older, your joints only take so much.
Okay.
The problem with the steady state is that it's that repetitive pounding.
It does.
Right?
Yeah.
That's the same reason sprinting on flat ground is dangerous for a lot of people, because all of your momentum, like when you run up a hill, your momentum is capped by the hill. It also changes the dynamics of like how you're using your anatomy to run. So when I have you pitch your weight forward to have to run up a hill, you get into your hips more, which is what you want, and you stay out of your knees.
Okay.
When you sprint on flat ground, you have to decelerate on that flat ground, and that's where people's knees and ankles start getting cranky.
Downhill training
is dangerous as hell.
It's for for mountains. You need it.
Oh yeah.
But that's yet again, I've never done a distance like this, but I've heard stories.
That's where people get hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah. They get tired and they get sloppy.
That's what the people say. The people running downhill, they have like if they're good at downhill,
you gotta have very strong
they
quads
have
to decelerate.
they have strong legs. And the people who don't strength train for ultras, that's where, from the things that I've listened to, like I said, I've never done it, that is where they struggle. Is specifically on the downhill training.
Oh, absolutely. I lived in Phoenix for a period of time, and I would hike a lot.
Okay.
And coming down, even just not for time, even just to come down the mountain once you're gassed.
Oh yeah.
Was very,
taxing on the legs.
You got to really be careful. It's where you roll ankles and tear knees. So.
But it's the best. Downhill training's fun.
Have you been out west?
I have.
Where have you gone? Like, have you hiked or ran out west?
I haven't ran, but I've done a bunch of hikes. My family's actually big into like mountains and stuff. West, we've done Yellowstone. I don't know have you heard of Glacier? It's in Canada.
Oh, I have.
Have you been there?
So Glacier is one of the only national parks I haven't been to. I've driven most states.
Okay.
I've driven 45 states.
Awesome.
I've camped
in your car or no?
Yeah, in my Volkswagen.
Awesome.
Yeah. I've camped in most national parks and
Heck,
forests.
yeah.
Glacier, I just haven't. It's so remote up there on the border up in Montana. I just haven't gotten there. I've been into Montana. I've done Montana. I just haven't gotten up to Glacier. I'm dying to.
Glacier's awesome.
Right now, my favorites that I've done are I love Washington State. Washington State is like beautiful nature.
What's the hike up there? Mount Rainier.
Mount Rainier in the Olympics. Oh my gosh, man! I spent a summer up there in Oregon and Washington.
Cool.
I hiked like all those national forests. It's the most beautiful.
How old were you when you did that?
This was like 3 years ago now, so I was like 32, 33.
With your girlfriend or no?
No, I did most of that. At one point I was in a different relationship, but I did most of what I did by myself.
Cool.
Like I did most of those hikes. I did some like camps with my ex, and I did some, like, we actually drove a portion of it together, but most of the hiking I've done and most of the places I've seen,
That's the best.
I was alone in my car. I mean, I've camped on like the other side of Lake Tahoe alone in my car at the bottom of the, Sierra Nevada mountains.
Fun.
It was just like waking up, brush my teeth in a stream.
That's so fun.
It was awesome, yeah.
That
Awesome,
vibe is the best.
It was fun, dude. I would do it again.
Yeah.
I would do it again tomorrow, and I would tell everybody, like, I would meet all these people on the road. A lot of people I would meet are like older folks who had finally retired and they got like an RV, and they're like, this was our dream, blah, blah, blah. And all of them told me, like, you don't know how lucky you are that you're not waiting. We wish we did it when we were younger. Like, cause you hear everybody like, oh, my dream one day. And people tell you, don't wait because you can't enjoy it the same way.
Yeah.
Your body doesn't, like, you can't just pull over and sleep in your car the same way
Or
as when
go
you're
find
young.
a bridge and chug a flip.
Yeah, and just go chug. Yeah, like, so it's totally worth it. Like, I basically, I drove from Florida to Washington State.
Okay.
I drove from Tampa to Seattle.
Okay.
And it took like a week. I stopped in Yellowstone, and like, I kind of saved up a bunch of money to do it. And I just took a whole summer and just did it.
Awesome.
And I regret nothing.
That is awesome.
I spent all the money I saved, and I would do it again.
So you were mostly by yourself throughout that?
That trip I had, so my friend was with me.
Okay.
In another car.
Okay.
She was in her car.
Okay.
My friend from Florida.
Okay.
But I also, when I first went to Arizona and came back, and then when I drove after I got to Washington, I went myself down the Pacific coast over to Colorado. I did all that by myself.
Okay.
So I've done most of the country alone.
Was it lonely or no?
No.
No?
No.
You felt fine?
I felt fine.
All right, cool.
I don't mind it.
That's okay,
yeah,
cool.
I didn't mind it at
Cool.
all. I'll get into podcasts and music and
just hang out, vibe.
Yeah, just vibe. I'll sit cross-legged for many miles and just cruise control. I just hang out.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
That is something I definitely am gonna do.
I think it would probably be a little different now because A, I've done it, and B, I'm older, and like my priorities have changed a little bit.
Yeah.
But like when I was, it sounds funny to say, but when I was like 30 and I was lost, 28, 30, you also got to remember most of this was during the pandemic.
Okay.
So things were weird.
Yeah.
And I was kind of lost because I had a business out of a gym down in South Jersey. Like, I had my own business, and I basically, like, it wasn't my gym, but I had a gym. I had free reign in a gym.
Okay.
And the pandemic shut that down.
Yeah.
And it wasn't my choice. So I was like lost for 3 years.
You didn't know what to do.
No, I moved to Florida for 2-3 years. I was like bartending just to kind of like make ends meet. Like, I was just
felt like
I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
I just knew I didn't want to be here because, I was living down by where I grew up in Trenton, and we couldn't go anywhere. We couldn't do anything. I was working out in a park on a chin-up bar for like 6 months for that whole winter.
Yeah.
And I was like mad at the structure of who did this to us, and like, I went down to Florida, and they were open. That was a lot of what drew me, is like they were open.
They didn't close much down.
They closed for like 8 weeks or 6 weeks, and they were open. And the first time I went, we had already been closed for like a year.
Yeah.
And I went to like a bar, and people were like dancing with each other, and I started to cry.
Because you were like,
I
need this.
That this was like people can hang out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I moved like a couple months later. I was like, I'm out. Like, so I would say 10 out of 10. Like, if you get a chance, get in your car and take a road trip, especially if you like to run.
Yeah, I would run all of that.
Yeah.
All of that.
Yeah.
Wake up, probably just run in the trails for a couple hours, come home, eat a bunch of food, and just lay and look at the stars. That sounds amazing.
It's the best. It's good though, man, because you're a younger guy, but and we were talking about this before we started, like, a lot of your generation sees the value in like unplugging, finding some sort of a higher power, like a lot of things that were not really talked about even 5 and 10 years ago, I feel like. And you're Gen Z technically, right? Are you Gen Z or are you the next one?
I couldn't tell you.
I think you're Gen Z. You guys are like kind of like turning the counterculture a different way.
Yeah.
And I was telling you, like, when I was growing up, it was like very cool to be like in the tech world and atheist and like now you see these people going this different way, and like I've always said that, like, whatever you believe or don't believe, like techies that are atheists and like they're like the most miserable people I know.
It's probably true.
You know what I mean? Like, and that's not everybody. It's not hard and fast rules and generalization. But like, I think by and large, we've seen the millennials grew up to be a very unhappy generation.
Okay.
A lot of prescription medications, a lot of addiction. Like, I got a lot of friends that didn't make it. So like, the fact that you're 18 years old and you're talking about running an ultramarathon, unplugging, like finding some sort of a higher power, like, dude, that's awesome. That's
Thanks,
ahead
man.
of the game.
I appreciate
Not
that.
what I was. When I was 18, I was like smoking a pack of cigarettes a day, drinking a bottle of whiskey.
But it's not just me. Like it's.
No, it is. I see it everywhere. I see it.
It's a lot of people. Like a lot of my friends are like eating healthy, not really going out, and I mean we're still going out, obviously, but we're treating our bodies a lot better.
Yeah.
In those circumstances, and that's not everybody. That's like my friends and some other people. But yeah, it's making a comeback because I think we've experienced what it feels like to not take care of your health, to kind of just be not really have like a God or anything to believe in. And it's like that's kind of what started for me. It was mental health, and it was like I just need to switch something. And I think a lot of other people, like young like that, want that thing that they can kind of work towards and progress towards when they really don't know what else to do. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, I do. And mental health. What have you struggled with mental health wise? I have too. So
yeah, it's just. I think most of it comes down to just self-worth, right?
Sure.
Yeah, I think that's where everything stems from. And in the beginning, it was just like, I don't know. I'm not going to get too deep into it on a podcast, but it's just like, it kind of hit me out of nowhere, and it was just like waves of like, I don't know, just very big emotions that I didn't know how to deal with, so I kind of just bottled them up. And then fitness kind of gave me that outlet and that thing which I can go down the path of healing. And I kind of knew that if I train and I work out hard and I eat healthy and I take care of my sleep, it will lead me to a point where I feel better. You know what I mean?
It does, yeah.
Yeah,
it absolutely does.
And that's kind of the main driver, I think, internally, is kind of the main driver.
For your running?
For my running 100%, but also posting content. It's if not the main driver, it's a very large driver in why I want to post, is because that content kind of gave me that spark to say, just get out there and train and you'll be good. You know what I mean? And that's what we need.
I agree. I think, how old were you when you started to feel like that?
Like 15.
Yeah. Yeah, I was probably 13, 14, yeah.
And everybody started, like, not everybody, but I think so many people, because if you're open up and you're like vulnerable about it and you talk about it with like, especially kids my age,
most of them have felt it.
Everybody.
Yeah.
It's not just me, it's everybody. And it's like, I think that's why kids our age are kind of like, dude, we kind of feel terrible. Like, what's going on here?
Yeah. They're feeling it younger and younger, too.
Yeah.
They're feeling it a lot younger now. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of that is because a lot of people don't really know what their purpose is anymore in this kind of game. Mm-hmm. Like, I think, like, we show a lot of signs as a culture of, like, a declining empire. If you read about when empires decline, they show a lot of the symptoms that we do. And it's happened in like every major empire, Rome.
Would you read Hard Times Create Strong Men, Strong Men Create, or did you just like?
Well, more along the lines of like what these empires saw when they were falling, like the way the culture went.
Okay.
Just like kind of the attitudes and the mental health struggles and the decadence amongst the leadership and the ruling class, the greed, the corruption.
Okay.
Right? It's kind of very par for the course in like a late stage empire.
We're in the cycle of that.
Yeah. And so, I think like a lot of the young people now, like understandably so, are looking around like, well, what am I like doing here? Because like the thing that people don't talk about is like the birth rate in this country has fallen so low, such that now we're worried that we don't have enough manpower in the next 30, 50 years to like sustain an economy.
That makes sense.
And that might be by design in some ways. I think it is, because I think they tell you that. I think they tell you we're overpopulated, stop having kids. I mean, when they tell you, they're not lying. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But I think, so then it's like you take that away from people, like people growing up, your generation growing up knows this now. And it's like when I was your age, if you told me by the time I was 30, I would say, I'll have a house, I'll have 2 or 3 kids, and like none of that came true. And it didn't dawn on me until that time. Whereas you guys are growing up with the internet and seeing like people are depressed, people aren't having kids, people are, dropping out of the rat race, people are getting RVs and just like going on the road and living remote life, making content. And so it like opens up this kind of like almost psychedelic thinking to like, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
And I don't think that I think the millennials, my generation, was the first generation to kind of ponder that. And I was kind of ahead of my time in some ways because I did think about this stuff when I was your age.
Cool.
But I don't think most people did.
Okay.
We were still kind of in the twilight of like when I was your age, it sounds funny to say because we're only going back, like 15, 16 years ago. But like YouTube was just coming
2007.
around. Yeah, Facebook was just like starting to get popular. Instagram, I don't even think maybe was around, but no one was really using it quite yet. And so you didn't have, like, podcasting wasn't a thing. Like, so you didn't have all of this access. Smartphones weren't a thing, right? You didn't have this access to understand almost like what you're missing or what other people are doing.
Yeah.
So I think that now so it's amazing to me that it's become cool to take care of yourself now. Because when I was growing up, it was
not there
so the
yet.
opposite.
It's not there yet.
It's getting there.
It's getting there.
Getting there. Yeah.
It is getting there.
It's a lot more young guys are, like, I see more young guys than ever in the gym. I see them consuming fitness and wellness content. Like, I see a generation who is going to care. Like, I read the other day that, like, what did they say? Some staggering amount of your generation doesn't drink, or they gave up alcohol.
Yeah.
Which, like, it took me till I was in my mid-20s to give up alcohol. When I was your age, I was drinking like I was blackout.
Yeah.
I was in a music scene though.
Okay. That's what you do
for the course.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, so I think it's great, man, that you're like ahead of the game in this way and like investing into your body and realizing what it takes to feel good.
I appreciate that.
And you said that you want to be a teacher.
I don't know. Right?
Well, you are in school to be a teacher.
Yes, I'm in school to be a teacher for a couple of reasons. One, it's not a huge time commitment, so I can still work on other things outside because I have summers off.
The whole summer.
I have schools from 8 to 3.
Yeah.
It's not a crazy long day. And I also I'm a gymnastics coach right now. Like, I coach gymnastics. Yeah. So I feel like I enjoy being around, and I enjoy like helping people grow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think teaching is a good spot for me to still have that of like helping people grow. Yeah, I'm not gonna make the most amount of money, but like it's still, then that gives me the opportunity to
supplement it with what you want.
Yeah, exactly, with what I want.
Coach, make content.
Yes.
Run.
Yeah. And still do. So it's a good opportunity to, because teaching, you can make an impact on people's lives.
Yeah.
And then it gives you that time to like do the other, like pursue other interests as well.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, man. And like you have a good base, good secure base to be able to take chances with what you want to do. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And you said you're born and raised up this way?
Yeah, I'm
in
like
New Jersey?
Yeah, northern New Jersey.
Okay, yeah. So for those that are listening that don't know, we're in. I sometimes don't know where I am. We're up in northwest New Jersey. So before I started dating my current girlfriend here, I never had been up this way. I'm like a city kid.
Okay.
Like I never knew about this like whole mountainous part of New Jersey. That's like the most beautiful part of New Jersey.
Yeah, this is
It's
a pretty nice area.
It's an amazing place. Like, so yeah. So take me through what's your training like in the gym right now?
Okay.
How are you balancing that with what you're doing? And
So I don't really care that much about maintaining muscle mass right now currently because the main goal is the ultra.
yeah,
But I have I can put on and maintain muscle fairly easily.
you strike me as someone, especially in your legs.
Yeah, I'm a ever since I was younger, I hold weight very well.
Yeah. How much do you weigh?
I'm 175.
Do you have like a target weight for marathon?
No.
Or is it more just like a kind of composition, obviously? It's just be lean, be limber, be mobile.
I don't have a composition goal. I don't want to get much above 175 right now. After the race, I will probably drop down to like, I don't know, 165, 170, because I am holding like a little bit more fat right now. But
That might do you well.
For
as
the
a
race
reserve tank.
Yeah,
that might do you well.
It probably will.
It will do you well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I also just didn't want, because I'm still fairly new into like ultra endurance. I was very new into ultra endurance. But I didn't want to underfuel my training because I didn't want to like, I don't know, not consume enough calories or carbs. Mm-hmm. So I kind of just was staying around. I think I started training at like 168, and then slowly throughout the last 10 months, I've just slowly gained a little bit of weight and not lost much strength either. I don't think I've lost in my legs. I think I've gained strength probably from elevation.
Yeah.
But
if you're able to run and gain strength or muscle, that's a bonus.
Yeah. And it helps that I'm young too, because I'm not at that, but like physical.
Dude, when I was your age, I was probably like 160 pounds, and I couldn't gain weight no matter what the hell I did. Okay. So that's like the fact that you can hold muscle and gain is great.
It's a gift of mine.
Yeah.
I could put on weight like that.
So if you wanted to bulk up, you could do it easily.
4,000, like I was eating like 4,200 calories a day. Like during like the peak of training, if I wanted to eat 5,000-6,000 a day, no issue. Yeah. Literally no issue at all.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
How's your? Have you always been naturally strong?
I've always been naturally stronger. Yeah. I've never been fast, but I've always been naturally stronger.
That's interesting. And when I it's funny how you gravitate towards the other thing, because when I was young and I was your age, I was the complete opposite. I had crazy endurance naturally. Really? Yeah, I could run forever. Okay. I could not train and run forever. Okay. But I had like no strength. Okay. And I was very injury prone, and my joints were very injury prone. That's kind of how I got into doing what I do, because a lot of what I do is rehab and performance training. Okay. So a lot of what I do is taking athletes with issues, or I always tell people the best way to treat injury is to prevent injury, and most people don't know how to train to prevent injury, and you really can. You can't prevent contact injury, obviously, but you can prevent non-contact wear and tear for the most part. There's some things that just, happen. If you're running ultras, and you're doing that a lot, your joints are just going to take some sort of a wear and tear, but a lot of the things that people deal with that they think are consequential of just oh, I lift weights, or oh, I run, or oh, I play a sport, so I'm going to have this nagging injury.
Can be taken care of.
Yeah, they can be prevented. Okay. And a lot of it is that people don't train. Most people, even athletes, even people that train athletes, have no concept of what actually a good training program looks like. Okay. And you could do it really systematically if you understand kinesiology. Okay. And I was telling you before, my mentors are guys that, some of the best in the world: Eric Cressy, Mike Boyle, Charlie Weingroff. These are guys that are, they're working with pro athletes regularly. Okay. They're rehabbing pro athletes regularly, which is, you'll see a lot of people who tout, I train pro athletes, but I would argue that training a pro athlete who's healthy is the easiest person to train. Okay. Because anything you do, they're already a freak. Yeah. You don't have to give them much. Yeah. It's much more impressive to take a young athlete who's like on the cusp and get them to be a good athlete. If you could do that,
then
that means you, because like if I knew what I know now when I was in high school playing basketball and running track, dude, I could have played a lot longer. I've been a lot better.
Okay.
But the training in the weight room was abysmal. I mean, it was just, it's like, I think back to what people did and what I was being told to do. And it's like, all it did was hurt me.
Okay.
And it didn't get me stronger. It didn't get me faster. And so like, yeah, a lot of my mentors I'm blessed to have just kind of found and went and worked with personally, trained with, interned with. Eric Cressy's taking guys off Tommy John surgery and putting them back on the mound.
Wow.
Inside of a few months.
Okay.
Which is, at a major league level.
Yeah.
Which is like, just a couple decades ago was unheard of.
Yeah.
That was a career-ending injury.
Yeah.
But that was also when baseball players worked out with bicep curls and bench pressing.
Okay.
So, yeah, what you do and then what you do young, like I wish I could go back and not, because I powerlifted for a while.
Okay.
Which was cool and fun, and I miss it in ways. But also, it doesn't have to kill you, but if you're really driven, it probably will. Because anytime you get into the realm of 1 rep maxes, and you're doing it to compete, form goes out the window.
Okay.
Like, you can stick to, like, some parameters, but, like, it's a very rare person that can, like, for example, I was pulling 500 at 181.
Awesome.
Natural.
Awesome.
And doing that with a flat back is almost impossible.
Okay.
You're going to round.
Yeah.
You're going to create what's called moment flexion in your spine. So,
and it's not good for your back.
It depends on where you round from, right? So like there's what's called movement flexion, which is just doing a bunch of crunches and repeatedly moving through your spine, which is bad because you're doing it 1,000 times, right? Under compressive force.
Okay.
And there's what's called moment flexion, which is when you set up and you get air into a partially rounded spine and you hold. That's better, and it also depends, do you round more thoracically or do you round through your lumbar? Like, you don't want to round here.
Okay.
Some guys have the ability to round really well from the top.
Okay.
Usually great power lifters. They can keep their low back mostly neutral, but they'll round through their upper back. That's not nearly as bad.
Okay.
But I wish that I could go back and do, because like I have to do a lot now to kind of maintain things that I did then that everyone warned me, like, hey, you're 24 now, your back's not going to last doing this forever. And I'm like, I'll be fine, because when you're young, you're like, I'm good. You think it's all here. It's like,
kind of
no,
how I am
eventually,
right now.
Eventually it'll get you. You know what I mean? Like, it eventually catches up.
Yeah.
But like, a lot of it, I'll tell you, like, for a guy like you, the name of the game, if you were my athlete, is just single leg, single leg, single leg.
That's... Okay.
Single leg. Because if you think about it, first of all, that's what running is.
Yeah.
So it has the most functional carryover. You're never on 2 legs in real life.
Okay.
I'll give you a fun little trivia question. What's the only bilateral sport in the world? I bet
bilateral.
The only 2 leg at a time sport in the world where you're balanced between both legs.
Gymnastics.
Nope.
Where you're balanced between both legs.
I could see how you could say that, because some of the landing maybe and such in gymnastics. But the only, like, the sport itself takes place.
Standing.
Not necessarily standing, but that's kind of a giveaway.
Bilateral is legs.
Bilateral is not in a split stance, or you know what I mean? It's just something you probably would never think of. You don't even think you use your legs, really. Rowing.
Okay, makes sense.
Because you are pushing.
Yeah.
Rowing is the only bilateral sport in the world. Every other sport
makes sense.
Is 1 leg, 1 arm at a time.
Yep.
So that's kind of where a lot of the argument comes from, as you want to, and it's not that there's no place for like squats and deadlifts. I would argue in an athlete's program, there's a lot of debate on this online, and you get like people pushing back on you for saying this, but I would argue that there's really no place for machines.
Okay.
In an athlete's regimen. Like the idea,
it's not as functional, is what you're saying?
It's not as functional, but so like take a leg extension, for example.
Cool.
Number one, it's not functional. There's no instance ever where you're going to get terminal knee extension in the presence of this deep hip flexion.
Okay.
It's just not happening. But more than that, because there's an argument that there are studies, for example, that show that just raw strength, the ability for a muscle to contract, even if not in a functional environment, still has carryover, right? My real problem with leg extensions now, caveat here for everyone who's going to push back, healthy athletes. There is a place for leg extensions when you're doing rehab. So if you have an ACL injury, you do have to show me that you can do this and do it under some amount of load before I can put you in standing and load bearing. But healthy, okay? Part of the problem is, number one, everybody, especially people who run, are quad dominant to begin with. So the reason that people blow out knees and pull hamstrings is because their hips aren't strong enough relative to their quad.
Yep, I have that.
And their hamstring in some cases. But number two, leg extension, especially when you get real strong, can put a lot of shear forces on the knee.
Okay.
So in addition to me strengthening your quad, which doesn't need any more, you're also now just putting all that pressure into the joint. Whereas, again, think about real life. You are never going to load this joint without loading this joint.
Okay.
So it's almost, functional says this joint is not going to work independently of this joint.
Okay.
The only time that becomes different is if you have a knee injury specifically, and I have to specifically rehab your knee, then yes, I have to show that you have terminal knee extension before I can load you in standing. But so like my training, I've never done leg extensions, seldomly do lying leg curls.
Okay.
Leg press is arguably the worst.
Really?
Yeah, because think about what leg press is. The seated one where you're like vertical like this is not so bad, but the one where you lie down,
you don't.
All of that weight is compressing onto your spine without core stability.
Okay.
So
it's just you're never going to do that ever.
It's like when it's the same concept as when people try to have I've always wondered why in the NFL linemen still get anybody really, but linemen still get tested on bench press. And the argument you'll hear is linemen, it's yeah, you don't push from here when you
drive,
you
with
push
your
through
legs.
your legs.
Yeah.
Push a sled if you want that power.
Yeah.
Deadlift. You're not using your pectorals to push a guy off the line of scrimmage. Yeah. So again, that's not saying there's no place for bench pressing. It's just that everything, in modern kinesiology and exercise science, we know that specificity is key.
Okay. So
the reason that reverse lunges and split squats are such a advantageous exercise to running is because it mimics stride.
Yeah.
If you're strong in that position, you're going to be more strong when you run. It's really simple.
It makes sense.
Right? The other one that people sleep on, the best one, if I had one exercise for everybody in any sport, it would be one leg RDLs.
Okay.
Because you load the hip joint in a way that it's unsupported, so you have to balance.
Yeah.
Balance is key. Training stability is key. And you basically take the quad's contribution out, and I'm forcing you to use. If you've ever heard for runners, there's one key muscle that runners always kind of lag on that ends up with knee injuries, that glute medius.
Yeah, that...
And
mine's
one leg
weak.
single leg exercises unsupported will work that better than anything.
Okay.
So again, a lot of people will take that and they'll try to get glute medius by doing clams or things like that. And it's those are good activation drills, but if you want to build functional strength, I got to put you in a functional environment. Lying you on the ground and doing banded clams is, again, it's good to activate your external rotators, right? It's good to activate muscles. Could be good in rehab settings, but if you're healthy and I need to train you to do an ultramarathon, I want to see that you can stand on one leg at a time. And, I'll do single leg RDLs at my peak, I do them with an 88-pound kettlebell in my offloaded hand. Okay. And when I was doing that,
you just feel it shredding your hamstring?
And up,
your glute?
way up into my glute.
Okay.
The way you'll really know you get it is when you feel what's called your posterior hip capsule working. You feel it all the way up in.
That's what I need.
That's where most people, especially if you're quad dominant, most people don't realize that your hip flexors, everybody talks about your quads, right? Your quad is 4 muscles. It's your rectus fem, your VMO, your vastus lateralis, and then you have your rectus fem really runs up into your psoas and your, iliopsoas, that whole region. when you're tight through here, it literally pulls on the front of your hip socket and translates your hip head forward. That's how people get, you've ever heard hip impingement and whatnot? That's because people's hip capsule relative to what's called the acetabulum sits too far and it will actually rub.
Does it click?
It can come up as a snapping hip.
Yep, I have. Yeah, I completely
which is basically
have
just
that.
hip flexor-ties, which everybody has, and like kind of one hip to another at points.
And that stems from a weak glute or
It's primarily
a tight.
It's that the glutes don't exert enough what's called posterior pull to pull the femoral head back in the socket.
And is it often that one glute is weaker than the other glute?
That's often the case. Yep.
Yeah.
That's almost always the case.
And in order to fix that, a great exercise is the, what are they called? Where you like bend over and then lean up. What are those called? That you were just talking about?
Oh, the one leg RDLs?
Yeah, RDLs.
That's one of them, yeah. There are like prerequisites. So like, again, like, so what I come from the school of is you have to have mobility first. So we have to make sure that, and in most people, it's primarily your hip extension and what's called your internal rotation is there. And so like if I took you through program, it would be like, the first part is we have to get some mobility. So we might do some mobility for hip extension and hip internal rotation. Once you kind of open a window through doing mobility training, you spend 15, 30, if you're an athlete, you want to spend a little bit more time in the beginning. But before you touch any strength work for the day, you open that window.
Okay.
And once I have mobility kind of a window open, now I can go and I can strengthen into that window and things will work better. So yes, single leg RDLs would be like one of my go-tos. However, if I'm dealing with someone some people, if they're deconditioned or if they're just if they have a lot of postural deviations, they can't even get into, like balancing on one leg and then tipping over against weight and using your hip can be difficult for a lot of people. So for some people, we may have prerequisite mobility and or stability training that has to take place before they can adequately load that. You probably could because you're in shape, you're young, you're an athlete, but I have all kinds of people who we want to work towards that movement and we need to regress them before they can even do it.
Yeah.
And they'll say well, I was training legs before and I'm doing leg press, they maybe do some amount of squatting, leg extension, leg curl, and you give them, the other thing most people don't realize is, my leg workouts, man, like my lower body training is like 5 movements a week.
Awesome. Okay.
If you're doing the right movements at the right intensity, it
builds a lot of strength like that.
People think that, and this is whether your goal is performance or aesthetics, people think you need like all this volume and all these different exercises and all the sets and reps. And most people, it's counterproductive. You're cutting into your recovery time. You're putting more wear and tear than needed on joints. And you're probably, if that's how you're training, if you have to do 6 leg exercises to get a training effect, the exercises probably either aren't that good and or the intensity's wrong.
Okay.
So meaning, if I'm using adequate weight with an adequate exercise, I can fry myself in 2 to 3 sets versus doing a ton of sets and reps on machines. And it's like, there's different schools of thought, but, and you hear a lot of it comes from bodybuilder dogma. Like, if you're not doing a ton of sets and reps, you're not getting a training effect. Like, there was guys in the 80s that disproved that, like the Yates method. He did like 1 or 2 top sets for everything, but he did it hard.
Yeah.
That's the way I've trained most of my career. And what it allows you to do is it allows you to recover and get, like, frequency is king. Like, just think about it simply. When you're training for a marathon, would you rather run a bunch of miles one time a week or chunks of miles every day or every other day?
You'd rather hit the easy miles every day.
It's the same thing with your body. So it's the same thing with building muscle. The more often I can work a muscle, the faster it can grow. But the key to that means I can't destroy it every time I go.
Okay.
I can get a training effect, but I have to get a training effect, just get the training effect, and then stop. Go home and recover.
And then how long?
48 hours.
48. So you hit
I work full body 3 times a week for most of my training.
Okay. And you hit it fairly hard.
Yeah.
Recover for a day or 2.
Yeah.
And then get back in the
At
gym.
my powerlifting peak, which is when I was my biggest and strongest, I show you pictures. The one picture's on my YouTube, I think. You know, I was like 180 to 185. This is going back 10 years ago. You know, I was deadlifting 500. I was squatting close to 400. You know, I was all natural, whatever. And I trained like 6 exercises, 3 days a week. No more than an hour. You know, the warm-up might have taken 30 minutes, but the training was an hour. And I was big, I was lean, I was strong.
Awesome.
I still do that. Like today when I go.
And it's healthy lifting too. It's not like
yeah, it's functional movements. You know, I still do my big exercises. Like I was training a squat, a bench, a deadlift, sometimes an overhead press or a clean. But everything that supported it was very functional. A lot of single leg, a lot of core training, a lot of rows, right? A lot of upper back work. And I was, you know, even to this day when I go, like today when I go, I will do, today's my dumbbell incline day. So I'll do, you know, I'll work up to like 1 or 2 top sets of like 6 to 8, maybe 6 to 10, you know, and I'll hit that. I'll hit maybe like an 80% set for reps after. And then that's my chest. Like that's all.
Yeah.
Like, and I've experimented with more. Like, okay, am I leaving some on the table? And never grew me better. Never did anything for, you know, like, oh, I got more muscle faster. Never made a difference.
Okay. So if you were to put that into like a simple thing to help it understand like a protocol almost, how would you kind of describe that?
Yeah, it's perfect because this is a lot of what so the school I come from, school of thought is Mike Boyle's certified functional strength coach. For anybody who's an athlete out there or anybody who, you know, just wants total health, performance, get leaner, get stronger, whatever, MBSC is, you know, one of the best in the world.
Cool.
This Mike Boyle's been a strength coach, pro athlete since the late 80s, early 90s.
So he's been it forever.
Has written textbooks, pioneered a lot of things. Cool. So they kind of, when I got certified through MBSC, part of what we use is they give you like a template for like how to design an intelligent program for an athlete or just a general adult population. And if anybody out there is kind of like, what should I do just off the cuff? I always tell people, break down, think about movements, not muscles. Movements will establish muscles anyway, right? But the movements you want to think about in a workout are, if you design a workout around a push, so it could be a bench press or an overhead press of sorts, right? A pull, a row or a vertical pull up, pull down, push, pull, knee dominant lower body, which would be your squats, your split squats, right? Things that
you're
really
saying
use your
for
quads.
full body exercise.
Mm-hmm, yep. Hip dominant, which would be your deadlift or any hip hinge, hip thrusts. Things that maybe do isolate, you know, there's a place for some variations of leg curls and things like that. So push, pull, knee, hip, core. So a lot of people get twisted when it comes to core. Like core is not flexing the spine and moving the spine. It's the opposite. It's resisting the spine.
Descension almost? Or?
So it's the most simple one everyone knows is it's planking.
Okay.
It's holding against, and then you can turn that into rollouts. You can turn that into reverse crunches because you really don't actually flex your spine much on reverse crunches. So and then people also don't consider that it's not just what's called sagittal plane. You also have to hit frontal plane.
Okay.
So you want to hit, you know, again, simplest one would be side planks, but it could also be a great way to train core that people don't ever think about is loaded carries, suitcase carries, like offloaded carries.
I've heard a lot about those.
And so like, yeah, you do push, pull, knee, hip, and then core, carry, or it could be like core, different accessory. Like, you know, there's a place, especially if you're a guy, like everybody wants to get a bicep pump or something like that. You throw in some of that at the end, but like most people don't need most of what they think. And again, I always tell young guys, like when they're like, how do I grow my biceps? How do I grow my arms? I'm like, well, when I was growing my arms and my arms got the biggest, I didn't touch a single direct arm exercise. I just did a ton of rows, a ton of pull-ups, a ton of presses, and they grew.
Yeah.
And I got strong. That's the other thing people don't get is they come in and they just do the same. It's like, you got to get stronger.
Yeah.
There's a law called progressive overload, and it's exercise science 101 that's not optional. Growing muscle is progressive overload plus adequate caloric intake. You got to get stronger in a certain rep range, which is generally 5 to 10 in most things for most people. And you got to eat more than you burn. And if you do those two things and you do them for long enough, you're going to put on muscle.
Yeah.
And yeah, when you get advanced, it can become a little harder. There's more advanced things you have to use. You know, you diet, you could get into things like carb cycling and training. You know, there's a place for back off sets or things like that. But like by and large, I still adhere to the same things that I did 10 years ago. And it's kept me healthy. It's kept me strong. It's kept me lean. Like
no pain. Do you have pain?
I get transient, I get pain when I'm being an idiot.
Okay.
Because I'll still be an idiot.
Okay.
I get pain when I do things that I know I shouldn't do. Yeah, I get pain when I train too close to failure or, you know, like do exercises that I know. Like, so like when you're benching heavy, and I don't really back squat ever anymore, but when I was, barbells are not forgiving. That's the other thing. Like barbells are a trade-off because they will build muscle the most effectively. There's no doubt about that. You can load hundreds of pounds on a barbell. You can't do that with anything else. The trade-off is you're fixed to the bar and you're fixed between both sides of your body. So you're effectively like torquing off of a bar. Versus like if I give you a dumbbell, stability is the limiting factor. So instead of contorting my body to the fixed bar, I move the dumbbell around because, you know, your joints are not symmetrical side to side in most people. So one hand might want to open up a little more and one doesn't, right? I can force shoulder stabilizers, but, you know, I'll get pain when I'm doing things that I know.
When you do something dumb.
Yeah. When I'm pushing weight too hard, doing too many barbells. And then you're just about cycling. Like, because, you know, I still like barbells, but I'll cycle things in and out.
Okay.
But no, when I train according to like the formula I gave you, and it's centered around unilateral work, and it's centered around dumbbells, kettlebells, body weight, things like that, no, I'll have no pain. Okay. None. And I had back pain for years after my powerlifting career.
Did it go away?
Oh yeah.
Awesome.
Oh yeah, I got it. I got rid of all of it.
That's
no PT,
the best.
No massage, no nothing. I got rid of all of it with mobility work. With diaphragmatic breathing is a big one. People don't understand how that relates to posture. Whole stomach. Yeah, being able to get 360-degree air expansion. And get your ribs down when you do things. That's the key for back pain that people don't know about. Cool. And then just good training. That's how I've gotten, you know, I always say, man, if I'm a better athlete in my mid-30s than I was in my teens because I didn't know this.
You do it right.
Yeah, and unfortunately, my body now is like, it won't recover the same. I'm not quite as fast, you know. I can still jump as high as I ever could, which is good. I've maintained that. But like, if I knew this then, man, I probably could have played ball a little bit into college. I couldn't have gone D1, but I could have played ball longer. Yeah, I could have played ball because like when I was in high school,
the career a little longer.
Yeah, just for fun, just
to see how far you can take it. You know what I mean? Yeah,
it would have been nice to get some scholarship money, you know.
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah, I think you know, people just there's a lot of misinformation around training because people are. It's tough to know where to look, and I always tell people like. There's a history behind this stuff where most of the training that you get and even a lot of the protocols that get investigated in like exercise science university level, you got to remember that the pioneers to this were bodybuilders. Like Arnold and those guys really were the first guys
to do this,
to like lift weights the way that people are lifting weights now.
So it's not been long.
And on top of it's not been long, you have to understand that an industry was built around that. So when Arnold came out, if you know that history can always give you a good lens of where the market is now, right? Those guys were, you know, they were already taking performance enhancement drugs back then.
But they couldn't say it, right?
They couldn't, it was known, but no, it was not as open as it is now. And so magazines and supplement industries popped up around these guys because people realized quickly there's a product to be sold here. This is popular. And so if you think about being a supplement company or a magazine, you're saying, well, all my readers want to know, all my buyers want to know how to get big like Arnold. What's he doing?
Let me take this.
What he's really doing is he's taking drugs.
Yeah.
But what you're going to sell is he's eating 300 grams of protein a day. Boom, there goes protein powder. He's doing 2-hour body part splits. Boom, buy this program, right? And so you start to see how this goes, except the rules for him are not the rules for you.
Because he's on steroids.
Number one, first and foremost, he's a freak.
Oh, yes.
Freak.
Yes.
Even if you're on juice, you still got to be a freak.
Crazy good genetics.
Genetics are, and anyone that does this long, and everyone that's an athlete knows. I always tell people seem to know this when it comes to this is why you can't play running back like your favorite NFL player, but they don't know it when it comes to this is why I'm not a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Like people get instinctively, I'm not LeBron James, but they don't know I also can't be Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
Everything is genetics. Like 80% of this is genes.
For top-notch bodybuilding.
Yeah,
yes.
for powerlifting, bodybuilding, athletics, you either have it or you don't.
Yes.
If you have it, you can train it and you can get better, but you either have it or you don't.
Yes.
And it's been sold to people that if you just work hard enough and you eat, like, no, man, like people look at me and a lot of people might say, well, like you don't look, it's like, yeah, I have 7-inch wrists. Okay, I started as a beanpole.
Yeah.
I came out of high school at 155, 60 pounds. I'm 195 now, right? Like that transition is, you can't look at what someone is at the end. You got to look at where they started.
Okay.
Because I didn't have the ceiling to become the biggest guy in the room ever.
Yeah.
There's no amount of trend I could take. It wouldn't matter. But I did come far through science. And so I always remind people, like, instead of looking at what you want to be based on that, like, just what can you do with you?
Okay.
Like what like it, like, when you run, it's you versus yourself.
Yeah.
It's not 100%. You versus the next guy. It's not, it's you versus yourself.
100%.
Are you better than yesterday?
100%.
And if you do it for long enough and you do it right, you can get there. But I always try to tell people, caveat with, like, whenever you hear bodybuilding.com advice or advice in forums or magazines or wherever you get it from these days, like, a lot of that stuff is being passed down from guys who have the genes and take a lot of drugs.
Yeah.
Because I've been around a lot of them. They take a lot of drugs.
The most accurate thing on the planet.
Dude, they take a lot of drugs.
Yeah.
I know amateurs that take a lot of drugs.
Messes up everything. Guarantee it. I mean, I don't know the science behind it, but I guarantee you it does.
It's not something that you certainly want to do young, and it's not something that most people should do, period.
Yeah.
There's a place for it, and if you're competitive,
if you want to be the best,
know what you're doing.
Yeah, if you want to be the best,
and you want to take those chances, can it be done mostly safely? Yeah, but is it something that like you necessarily want to do? As in, like, no, most people shouldn't.
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, man. I think the fact that most people even listening to this now, though, that people are interested in this is just a huge step.
Yeah.
Because when I was even starting in this industry, 13 years ago now, 14 years ago, like, it was still hardcore bro culture.
Okay.
Just stringer tank tops, lots of sauce,
Let's rip some weight, boys.
More screaming at each other. Like, there's still people when you see them in the gym, like, that's their mentality. So, yeah, man, anything else you wanted to cover before we wrap up?
No, there's nothing.
I think we did a good...
Nothing on my mind here.
Hour and a half, yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah, it was solid, man. We'll have to do it again.
For sure. Heck yeah.
Luke Sarnella, everybody.
Thank you.